Do you take pleasure in having your own space? Do you believe that all of your information ought to be made accessible to everybody and everyone at any given moment in time so that anyone can view it? This is a video that you are going to want to watch because we are going to be discussing the plans that the elites have for a complete financial lockdown and control of all of your financial assets. If you do not want that, then you should watch this video. Whitney Webb has thoroughly exposed their cover and revealed the truth to the whole world. This is something that is now in the process of being developed. And listen, if there was ever a time when people would band together to combat this kind of corruption and evil, that time is right now. Please take note of this. Due to the fact that this technological breakthrough in cryptography has resulted in a lot of wonderful applications for this technology, there are also a number of ways in which it may be abused in a manner that is, to be honest, horrifying. But all of that is going to be discussed today, and Whitney Webb is going to convey it in a manner that is both bizarre and fascinating. It is imperative that you guys hit the like button in order to ensure that everyone in the cryptocurrency field sees this, and I will be sure to include you all in the video. A video. It should come as no surprise that the method of compelled onboarding of a CBDC is going to be some kind of emergency, some kind of occurrence in which individuals will be presented with an offer that they will essentially be unable to refuse. Whatever the nature of the crisis may be, it will eventually lead to a situation in which individuals will have very little choice but to adopt this new digital currency system. The narrative is going to be that privacy is harmful, anonymity is hazardous, and specifically financial privacy is dangerous. How it manifests itself might be a number of different ways, but regardless of how it develops, the narrative is going to be that privacy is dangerous. Those are going to be the narratives that emerge from this incident, and that is going to be a method to drive onboarding both onto digital currency that can be traced in order to stop financing for terrorist organizations or other activities of a similar type. They have just informed us that we are unable to continue providing you with financial services. Nobody asked any questions. If a CBDC were to be issued directly, it would be quite challenging to accomplish that. This is something that is comparable to the argument that has been made regarding the censorship imposed by social media firms. However, they argue that because they are private corporations, they have the right to restrict speech in any way they see fit. That being said, we are aware that the constraints that they have placed on private discourse have been the consequence of pressure from the public sector, right? One more time, it is essential for individuals to keep in mind that this is a public-private collaboration. In the United States, this is the model that is most commonly used. There will also be a public-private partnership involved in the creation of the digital dollar in the United States. Within the United States, the Federal Reserve, which is the nation's central bank, will collaborate with the private banks that own the Federal Reserve. In addition, the system will consist of the partnership that exists between them respectively. If you chose to make use of those plans, a significant number of those phases that would take the Federal Reserve a few years to complete have already been completed. In addition, if you regulate them in such a way that they are required to, for instance, keep their reserves at the Federal Reserve, then you are able to have a system that is comparable to the one that is already in place. On the other hand, you are not need to go through the procedure of establishing a CBDC that is directly granted. Furthermore, they are in the process of building a long list of CBDCs for countries all over the world. Nevertheless, that is only a single aspect of what they accomplish. They are in possession of something that they refer to as a digital currency accelerator. CBDCs, stablecoins, and tokenized deposits or deposit tokens are the three forms of digital currencies, known as the three types of digital currencies that have developed. Additionally, a number of financial institutions in the United States have already begun offering deposit tokens, JP Morgan and Citigroup both. A research paper that was published by JP Morgan in the previous year discussed the ways in which CBDCs are inferior to deposit tokens and the ways in which deposit tokens are superior. In light of this, Oliver Gale, who considers himself to be the founder of CBDCs, has lately been a co-founder of a company that goes by the name Fluent Finance. The endeavor that Fluent Finance is attempting to accomplish is the creation of a reliable dollar-peg stablecoin that they refer to as US+. Additionally, it is positioned as a response to dollar-peg stablecoins like as Tether, which have been fraught with controversy due to the fact that their reserves are not transparent. The purpose of US+ is to provide users with the ability to monitor their reserves in real time, along with other features. As a result, it is an effort to establish a very trustworthy and completely reliable system that is supported by a group of banks and is headed by banks. The United States dollar is a stable coin. I mean, when the web really broke it down, it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that I hadn't really been asking about before, which is definitely something that I ought to have been asking. On top of that, a good number of you should absolutely do the same. Firstly, the government is going to want to make sure that these US stable coins are consistently used to purchase their treasuries, since, of course, this is going to be beneficial to them in accomplishing their purpose. If we continue to support a stablecoin, which is in fact a cryptocurrency, but that stablecoin is still allowing central banks to be corrupt and exert their influence and authority over all of us in a manner that is not in our best interest, then should we really continue to support that cryptocurrency? In my opinion, the answer to that question is no. There are stablecoins that are now in circulation, but they do not purchase United States Treasury securities. That is an excellent beginning to the process. Taking your money out of USDC, which is perhaps the most centralized of all the cryptocurrencies, and looking into RLUSD, which is the Ripple stablecoin, is a fantastic first step, in my opinion. It is through this method that we are going to effectively fight against this system, which I am aware that the majority of you do not agree with. However, there is another thing that we need to keep an eye out for, and Whitney Webb is going to reveal this as well, so I need you guys to pay attention to what she has to say. Let's take the comments of Larry Fink, for example, of BlackRock, who has been concerned with risk management throughout his entire career. If you look at all of this through the lens of risk management, from the perspective of the elites, let's take his remarks. He has a quote, and he is on film saying that the markets do not like democracy because it is messy, and that they prefer totalitarian governments because the risk is low. One of these individuals, Elon Musk, is attempting to portray himself as a defender of free expression in one of these figures. He is one of these figures. At the moment, a significant number of his companies are either dependent on the widespread adoption of electric vehicles through policies that are linked to the Sustainable Development Goals to phase out fossil fuel vehicles, or they are contractors for the Pentagon and intelligence agencies, such as SpaceX. I believe that there is a general agreement that there will be another major financial catastrophe over the next several years. This is something that is widely believed to be anticipated. Moreover, if you are the major financial institutions and you are aware that this is going to take place, you probably want to steer clear of a situation similar to the one that occurred in 2008, when the general public was aware that you were the cause of the mismanagement and the economic issues, which led to the formation of movements such as Occupy Wall Street. Those that wish to steer clear of it. When it comes to mismanaging or losing other people's money, what is the most effective technique to exonerate yourself of any kind of responsibility? If you are able to present evidence that hackers stole it, then you are completely exonerated, and the individuals who stole it are the ones who are to blame. And the United States Intelligence Agency, or really any intelligence agency in the modern world, has the ability to accuse anyone they want of carrying out a cyber attack. We are aware of this information since one of the most recent disclosures from WikiLeaks, known as Vault 7, disclosed that among the hacking tools utilized by the Central Intelligence Agency CIA was the capability to incorporate the fingerprints of hostile states, or basically any group that they want, into intrusions that were actually carried out by the CIA itself. Essentially, a tool that may be used for any reason to generate cyber false flags. And the person who is currently in charge of the Central Intelligence Agency is the same person who was in charge of the Carnegie Endowment when it was operating, or when it was creating these papers with the largest private banks and central banks in the world about a cyber attack on the financial system, and how that would push for the emerging of data sharing between banks and the CIA and intelligence. In light of this, I believe that one of the reasons they are interested in this new system, which is essentially a control system, is that they consider it to be the pinnacle of risk management. You therefore keep a steady watch on them. You are able to activate and deactivate their money. You have the ability to switch on and off their access to services, as well as pretty much anything else entirely. The functionality of digital ID is a way to keep people in line in a way that did not exist in feudal Europe and under that model. This is made possible by the digital ID. But it is obvious that they are moving toward that approach. In addition, it is fascinating since the United Nations basically acknowledges that. They talk about how the acceleration and adoption of all of these digital infrastructures is making the wealth gap even wider and making the billionaires even more wealthy. However, the billionaires and bankers are the ones who are drafting all of these laws that the United Nations is implementing. The individuals who have the most influence over these policies are individuals such as Mark Carney, Mike Bloomberg, and Bill Gates. They are the ones who have the most influence. Despite the fact that they acknowledge that they are contributing to the widening of the income divide, we are still moving on with these policies. I mean, it is evident that they are going to continue to make the situation worse. Furthermore, a significant number of those individuals who are responsible for the development and upkeep of the technology, as well as the determination of its functions, are going to be in a totally different category than the rest of us who are being forced to use this system. It was not designed by US in the first place. The model of stakeholder capitalism is not something that we have any interest in. For the very first time, when I heard what Whitney Webb was talking about in this particular context, I was quite a little there. Was a big cryptocurrency non-fungible token